I'm feeling professional today. So what is FMV? Oh my gosh. Funny Mother Valentine. No. FMV is fair market value. So here's a definition of fair market value. If it has to, you have something to do with the market, something to do with the value. So what's fair? Anyway, fair market value is the home price that a buyer and seller in an arm's length transaction would be willing to agree upon in the open market. Now, for example, it says, if a son buys a home from his mother at an unusually low price, that price is not the fair market value because it was not at an arm's length transaction. Now, if the mother would sell the home at a much higher price, if she was at the open market, if she sold it to an unrelated buyer. So when you do a family transaction, sometimes people say, well, they got it for less, and you take a look at the tax rolls, and, they got it for, 50 cents on the dollar, or whatever that means. But the fair market value is what a willing buyer is willing to pay a motivated seller and how they come to an agreement on what the price is going to be. So what we're seeing now, and here in the South Bay, we're still in a seller's market. Nationally, they're talking about a buyer's market, but that's not what's happening here. In fact, I'm even hearing some realtors talking about their listings getting multiple offers. But on an average, we're seeing asking price and acceptance below asking price. Oops, below asking price. So but you still see asking price and maybe a little above asking price. So what's a buyer to do? A buyer should be sitting there with their realtor after they speak to their lender to find out what they can qualify for and start looking at houses that are under what they can qualify for. Let's say they can qualify for $850, just using a number. They should be looking at houses that are $800, $825 max. That will give them a little bit of wiggle room if they want to negotiate up. They can also decide that they want to see what the prices are, how different it is if they were looking at $850. That's a good idea. Let's see what the total market is. That's after you decide which neighborhood you want to go to, which street you'd like to be on, the number of bedrooms and bathrooms, how much work do you want to do to the house? Do you want to walk into something that's totally done, or do you want to come in and create some of your own little special little things? I've seen houses that I walked into a house one time with some buyers, and they were okay with fixtures. Honestly, it must have had mold because I couldn't breathe. I had to walk out. I just couldn't do it. I had another time where it was full of cats, and the cat smell made me nauseous. I couldn't do it. So someone's determined. Anyway, so when you're sitting with your realtor as a home buyer, whether you're a move-up buyer or a first-time home buyer, or even looking at a investment property, you want to be able to name at least 3 or 4 things that you're looking for. Once you have your price in mind, your maximum price, let's figure out what we can do next. And as a home seller, you want to be able to take a look at the prices in the market and maybe list it just a touch under to give a little wiggle room to some of the buyers. So let's say you want to sell it for $850, using that number. You can list it for $799, and let's see what happens. You don't have to take the offers at $799, but if that's all there is, then that's what the buyers are looking for. You may have to decide if you want to raise your price. Yes, if you're at $850 and nothing's happening, you can lower the price, but you really don't want to have to do that. You want to be able to sit down with your agent and figure out exactly what the fair market value is for this house. And then work on a number that would be what we'll call our marketing number. Yes, buyers, that's what we do. And we want to be able to help the seller make a decision. So when a buyer comes along and gives you a bona fide offer with a decent down payment, whether it's 3.5% for FHA or 5% down, 10%, 20% or more, because there are still cash buyers out there, that you may want to figure out exactly what price point you'd like to start at. And then come to an idea of what kind of price you'd like to go to. I had a listing many years ago in Gardena where we decided a price. I think it was at the time, it was like, I think 325 was the max, so we listed it like at 319 or something like that. We sold it at 375. I was concerned that we weren't going to be able to get the appraisal. That was, hi, whoever you are. Thank you for liking this. I was concerned about the appraisal, but didn't seem to have a problem with that. And I work with a buyer's agent to make that work. Okay, so that's part of my job, is to help the price that gets agreed upon, to get the bank to send out, to have an appraiser out there to come and negotiate, to accept, to work out the numbers and the story about the house and the value, to agree to what was agreed upon. So, not that I have that much influence on the appraiser at all, but I can bring them comps, talk about the value, talk about the pluses and minuses of the house, mostly pluses, by the way, and let's see what happens. So, if you're sitting on the fence right now with interest rates around 6%, FHA I'm seeing are in the high fives, 6%. If you want to, unconventional, if you want to reduce your interest, you can pay what's called a buy down, and we've discussed that in the past, and if you want more information, let me know. But you can buy down the interest rate, you can ask the seller to buy down the interest rate. So there are opportunities out there. And there's a bunch of listings, and every day there's more listings, and every day if seller said, wrong price, and I'm going to sit with my agent and reduce and change the price. So let's see what's out there for you. And let's see what's out there under fair market value. So that's the real estate end of today on this wild Wednesday. Just a reminder, two things. One, tonight, if you're local, the Torrance Rosewood Association is going to Black Bear Diner, and right here in South Torrance. And I think we get 20% of whatever the bill is. And that, that money actually helps us because it helps pay for the lunches that we provide to the decorators during decorating week in December. And the other thing that's going on is the Torrance Theater Company, my two favorite places. And this month they're performing The Cottage. Adult. It's a very adult show. You're going to laugh a lot. Now we're going to see it Friday, so I'll let you know more next week. Or follow me on Facebook, and you can see my reaction. It's a little risque at times, but it is absolutely funny. Everyone I've talked to who's seen it just laughed through the whole thing. So, you need a moment of laughter? Come on out. Go to torrancetheatercompany.com. Get your tickets. There are tickets still available. See you at the theater. See you at Black Bear Diner. And call Carol Gilles at the Fredericks Realty 310-864-9738 to find out what your fair market value is. Have a good Wednesday. Bye.